Hello and welcome to Banking Frontiers Live. We are here for some very interesting conversation in the area of cloud. Today, I'm here to discuss with Mr. Stuart Houston, the Director for Financial Services at Google Cloud, to understand a little about the global trends related to the financial services industry and the adoption of cloud. Stuart, welcome to Banking Frontiers Live.
Thanks, Babu. Great to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Great. Thanks, Stuart. So, Stuart, let's take an industry overview first. You have seen the world adopting cloud rapidly in the last few years. What have you seen as the major trend in the last few months compared to that of the last few years? And how are you trying to adapt to serve this market with these kind of changes that are coming into the picture?
What we've seen, certainly with Google, is a significant uptake in the move towards digital customer journeys to either complement or replace existing journeys. So, for example, and this is borne out with external research. So a few months back, the World Retail Banking Report did an analysis where they talked about digital adoption in financial services was around 49% prior to COVID. It's now ticked up to 57%. So that's a 15% increase just in the last 6 months on the back of COVID. And what that means from a Google Cloud perspective is we're seeing many more customers looking to not only reduce costs and improve automation using cloud technologies and some of the assisted AI that we can provide, but really, trying to redefine the customer journey, the customer experience that organizations provide to their clients and prospective new clients in this new world.
When there is cloud, automatically data is the next big thing that anyone speaks about. And globally, you can see the strongest emphasis on data privacy and data protection. How are you treading the line and trying to make sure that on one side you give the most interesting ecosystem for innovation, at the same time you also keep the data governance and privacy norms in place?
And I think that the good news, certainly from a Google perspective, is the same cloud that we provide to our banking clients across India and globally is the same environment that we use, for example, for our internal Google products that everyone would know so well. So Google Search, Google Pay, and so on. So the good news is that cloud infrastructure that we work with our banking clients on is the same infrastructure already being used in India with the high level of security and privacy and authentication and real-time fraud management and so on that you would expect. So I think the simple answer to your question is as organizations look to simplify and streamline their processing and their architectures using cloud technologies, what they absolutely need is confidence in the ability to scale in a highly performant way. They need absolute assurance that the security will be there as secure as what they might be doing on premise or internally, but in almost all cases, we would argue more securely. And certainly in financial services being a highly regulated industry, the privacy idea is critically important. So we have a number of techniques that we use to address the personally identifiable information or PII requirements in financial services particularly, which is something that we've had in our DNA for many years, and certainly many of our larger customers today that leverage Google.
So great. So now we have the data in place, we have the governance in place. The other most important pillar here is the AI. Do you see that there is a lack of integration between these silos, or give an integrated approach to AI for this organization? What is your kind of take on this approach to AI, and how is Google working on the AI front?
Certainly what you say up until now has been the experience of many organizations as they dip the big toe in the water of the AI possibility and the opportunity that's there. So when we at Google think about AI, it's important to remember that fundamentally, if I was to try and describe Google in one sentence in terms of our mission of trying to organize the world's information and make it useful to our customers, AI is the way we do that. So machine learning models, looking at the full range of data that we have access to is a critical piece here. And this is why when we talk about what are some of the critical success factors for the adoption of AI in an integrated way across the enterprise, the first problem is actually not AI. It's actually, do you have all of the possible data that you might want to use, structured, unstructured, internal, external, and then in fact using AI techniques even to transform that data into useful formats that can feed into models that can then do some predictions or make some recommendations for a particular scenario. So I think the data is first and foremost, and especially in the cloud world, being able to incorporate non-traditional data sources. You know, we see some great examples in India and elsewhere of leveraging Google Maps data as part of onboarding processes in financial services to do fraud checks and credit scoring and so on. So lots of really, really interesting possibilities when you broaden the reach of the data. The second one is then, of course, the maturity model for AI. So technology, skills, and very importantly from a Google perspective, what we call the AI principles, so having a very clear understanding of how you will use AI, where will you use it, and where you won't use it, and making sure that all of the requirements around fairness and unbiased models and responsible AI is baked into everything you do. And then I think finally, it's really, really important to focus on the use cases. So building an AI architecture for the sake of an architecture is not going to deliver any outcomes. You really need to be focused on what problem are we trying to solve? How can we do it significantly better than we've done it in the past using AI? So it's not about replacing people in their roles. It's about how can AI help people in their roles, help your customers do things more efficiently, with a lower level of risk, a higher level of accuracy, and so on.
Great. I think that was a very good conversation, Stuart, and we had some very good 360-degree perspective of what cloud is going to be playing as a transformation role in the financial services business, and how Google is trying to build its own super highway to empower the organizations to enter into the cloud journey. Thank you very much for this information, and we look forward to some more interesting conversations with you in the future on how the organizations can take themselves to the digital transformation journey with Google Cloud. Thank you very much.
Great chat. Thank you.